Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piroworski, coming to you live from the East Coast. It's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most, here on The Rundown. 2A Views, conservative news. And Craig, guess what day it is?
Oh, Throat Punch Thursday.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Who's ready?
It's Throw Punch Thursday, bitch.
I realized that he was right in the middle of saying, who's ready? And apparently he wasn't.
No. Listen, this is like I've said. This is what happens if you wear your Ranger panties every day. You gotta switch it out. You gotta put on your basketball shorts. You know, you gotta wear some sweats, something like that. You know, come on.
Something like that. But he set him up every time.
Yeah, every time.
But good stuff. How are we doing today?
Yeah, not too shabby. Another decent day here in the South.
Has our weekend successfully begun?
It's going all right. It's definitely going okay. Yeah.
There you go. I have not started my weekend yet. In fact, things are a little heated up today. Got a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to get done before the weekend, as well as getting ready and prepping for the trip to Atlanta, Georgia next week, where we will be on. I don't know if what are they calling it? It's on the floor on Media Row or whatever they're calling it. They're the voices of the Second Amendment are going to be there at the NRA. So it's going to be a bunch of different folks doing some broadcasting. I don't know how many people are going to be doing live stuff, but some will be doing live, some will be doing recording. But it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of friends will be there.
They call it Hot Atlanta. That's what they call it. That's where we're going.
Hot Atlanta. Yeah, it's going to be. It's only my second time to Georgia. Second time to Atlanta. Although the last time I was in Atlanta, it was literally just at the airport. That was when we did the Gainey Cup thing.
Really? You didn't go to NRA with us there last time in Atlanta?
I did not go to NRA the last time. I forgot something else came up. There were like multiple things that were going on that same weekend. This time there are also multiple things going on, but this time NRA won out.
It's weird. Must be a different black friend I'm thinking of that I hung out with there. Maybe it was Patrick Collins.
We all look alike, I guess, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm white. You know how it is. You
know. Well, here's the funny part. There are studies that demonstrate that most people do not do a very good job or are very easily confused or confuse people of different races. So it ain't nothing particular to white folks.
That's true. That's true. You should have seen this in Afghanistan. Every time they asked us to describe somebody, we're like, I don't know, some dude wearing a man dress. You know, that was it.
I can only imagine. All right, folks. Hey, let's get into the program real quick, and we'll start with a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Hitman Industries, that's hitmanindustries.net. Now you can get yourself AR barrels in any rifle caliber, any pistol caliber you desire. Anything you need, they got it. And if they don't got it, they can make it. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you could take part in California's future today. You want the best in tactical concealed holsters, get on over to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, Hog Holsters. Get yourself the best holster on the market. You get a discount. Just put in the code The Rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. And you're going to get the best tactical concealed holster that's out there. Hogholsters.com. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, police, fire, law enforcement, whatever it may be, get your group together, get your agency together, make yourself a call, get online, go to uscombatgear.com where you get everything but the gun.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment and visit our sponsors. You can find them, the links to their websites, in the description to this program. So just go there, click on the link, go to their website, check them out, spend some money with them, and make sure that when you do, you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. Also want to encourage you, if you're watching the program live, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, go ahead and comment. We will be following your comments, and if we find it to be interesting, we'll go ahead and we'll share it with the rest of the audience. And if not, well, then we won't. or if it's interesting and we disagree, we will still share it, but we will reserve the right to mock you.
In your face. Yeah.
In your face. All right. With that, I got a feeling there's not a lot that's going to be very disagreeable here because there's some very interesting stuff here. We're going to start off. We're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on with these Bernie Sanders and Alex the bartender and their big oligarch tour. I wanted to talk about this because they just recently, this past weekend, they came to Northern California. They were actually in Folsom, California, which is about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from here. And AOC and Bernie, let's just say they were in rare form. And what happened there? Okay, well, let's try this then. Let's go to the Bernie video. That one should play just fine.
People, Republicans, Independents, Democrats are saying, sorry, Mr. Trump, we don't want your oligarchy. Sorry, Mr. Trump, too many men and women have fought and died to defend democracy. You're not going to take us into authoritarianism. And sorry, Mr. Musk, we're going to create an economy that works for us, not just for you. So, brothers and sisters, I recognize that the oligarchs have enormous power. They have unlimited amounts of money, and they are extraordinarily greedy. They want it all. But the last that I have heard, I'm not a mathematician, but I do know that 99% is a hell of a lot bigger number than 1%.
That someone started flying a plane with a banner that said, this is Trump country. It sure don't look like it today. I don't think this is Trump country. I think this is our country. Because we're not afraid of them anymore, are we?
I found it interesting to say that they're not afraid of us anymore. Anyway, what's interesting about this tour is that while they are talking about fighting the oligarchs, fighting the 1%, they're spending a whole lot of money on their traveling expenses, it appears. This being reported by our friends over at the Washington Free Beacon. Apparently, they are spending somewhere in the amount of $221,000 on private jets, once again, amid fighting oligarchy tour. It says here, Bernie Sanders has crisscrossed the country on his nationwide fighting oligarchy tour to rail against billionaires and supposed oligarchs like Elon Musk while traveling like an oligarch himself. Campaign expenditures released Tuesday and reviewed by the Washington Free Beacon show Sanders' main campaign committee, Friends of Bernie, spent $221,723 chartering private jets following the first quarter of 2025, with the first payment coming just days before his tour in February. So keep in mind, so these started in February. It's been February, March, and going in, well, that was during the first quarter, so it doesn't even include April yet. So in 2 months, they're spending about $100,000 a month on that. But he's not the only one, because apparently AOC now is also doing her how shall we say, her 1%er thing. As the New York Post is reporting, AOC flies first class to Bernie Sanders' Fight Oligarch rally as critics pan lefty politician for battling inequity one mimosa at a time. Mike, I just have to say, there is a certain lack of self-awareness when you do stuff like this. There's a certain kind of a, like, I am better than you type of an attitude. And you got to wonder, what are they thinking when they do stuff like this?
It looks like AOC's thinking, what's she having for her next meal? I mean, she putting on a little weight there, Craig. I mean, she getting a little thick. I mean, see the first time we seen some pictures of her outdoors, she getting a few extra pounds, putting on her winter weight, I guess.
Putting on
but
winter away.
just I don't know. And actually, while we were sitting here, I mean, that's real. It's actually a real thing. She's talking about it online and everything as well. She's not pregnant. She says it's just a thing that happens to her. Getting fat.
Getting fat. Yeah. Well, she's becoming a fat cat politician, is what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It looks like she Donald Trump jeans up too. So, yeah, Craig. I mean, just it's so typical of the Democrats, right? We're here to preach against oligarchs. By the way, oligarchs being the original ones that they accused Donald Trump of coercion with, back in the 2016 campaign. It's Russian collusion. It's Russian collusion. No, they love to go back to Russians. The default now is go to the Russians. So now they're oligarchs, and which is something they've never been accused of before, right? They were just white billionaires, but now all of a sudden they're Russian billionaires, oligarchs, using the term oligarch, which is a Russian word, by the way. And it's ridiculous because here accusing them of being rich people that have extravagant practices, like flying around in private jets. Maybe this would have had a little bit better, Craig, if they had like a bus tour, perhaps. Maybe even took the train once in a while. But no, we're going to accuse people of being filthy rich people and getting anything they want by flying around the country on private jets. I love how Bernie Sanders says we're going to give you the economy the economy they want. We're going to give you the economy we want. Nothing about let's give you a healthy economy. Nothing about let's put money in your pockets. Let's give you the socialist economy we want, where every dollar made goes to us, where we get to decide where your money goes.
Well, exactly. And then when they talk about government programs, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about giving them control over people's money so that they can make decisions for people. And what I also found very, very interesting about this whole thing is it's not like this is something brand new for Bernie Sanders. It's not like he doesn't have a history of talking about this. In fact, it dates back pretty far. I don't know if you've seen this little montage, but I was actually, while you were speaking earlier, I actually looked for it and found it because I was like, it'd be very interesting for people to kind of hear what Bernie Sanders thinks, his new and developing perspective on the coming oligarchy.
Moving very rapidly in the direction of oligarchy. The United States of America today is increasingly becoming an oligarchy. More and more moving toward an oligarchy. We are moving in the direction of oligarchy.
2007.
We will move even more rapidly in the direction of an oligarchy. This great country is evolving into an oligarchic society. It is called oligarchy, and that is the system we are rapidly moving toward. This is a budget that moves our country rapidly into the direction of oligarchy. A handful of billionaires are moving this entire planet toward an oligarchic society.
We start off with the bad news, which is pretty bad, and that is that under Donald Trump, this country is hurtling rapidly toward oligarchy.
So from 1993, and I'm sure that's not the first time that he started talking about we are rapidly going towards an oligarchy. Now, last I checked, 1993 was 32 years ago. I guess when you're as old as Bernie Sanders, which, by the way, interestingly, he looks the same age in all of those videos. I guess when you're as old as he is, 30 years and no movement towards oligarchy, that's still rapidly moving, I guess.
Yeah. Listen, Bernie Sanders was born a 58-year-old man. I'm positive of that. He's been the same his entire life. He came out of there and he went, He didn't cry. He just made them noises. So it's like he does. It's his word, right? Let's see how many other people start to use it, right? Let's see if they pass it around and we start to get every newscaster using the term oligarchy. So,
well, what's funny is is if you go over each decade that he did that, do you know that the people who were in the group of the top 1% changed each time? And it wasn't like it was the same family. It's literally each generation creates their own. And by the way, the people who are in the 1% are rarely in the 1% even the following year, let alone the following decade or the following generation, right? Most wealth that is out there is new money. It's been created by people who were not wealthy before. Elon Musk was not wealthy before now. Neither was Mark Zuckerberg. Neither was Jeff Bezos. These are all people who created wealth out of their own ingenuity. And their kids likely are going to be, they may be well off, but chances of them being in the top 1% are a lot less than that of their parents. And that's just how it's worked.
Yeah, and I would even say that it applies to the Trump family as well. Whereas, Donald Trump started off, his father gave him $1 million to start businesses. And his father started off with nothing and created the couple million he had, gave $1 million to Trump, and Trump took $1 million, turned it into several billion. So,
right.
That's the same to me. Listen, if you start with $20 and end up with 200,000, that's a pretty good thing, and that's what Trump did with $1 million.
Pretty much. But this whole idea of the oligarchy. Now, keep in mind, these are the people who want a selective few people in Washington to make all of the decisions. They want to tell you how to raise your kids. They want to tell you what you can eat. They want to tell you what you can read. They want to censor your speech online. They want to silence media sources that don't push the narrative that they want. They want to take your tax money and utilize it. They want to make the determination as to what kind of health care you're going to be allowed to have and what sorts of, have their death panels and all of that. That's all them. That's all them, the government. The only difference is that they look at rich people and want to say that they're trying to be oligarchs. I look at people who are trying to control our resources, people who want to take down the rich people and as a result also want to take down the middle class. They want to take down rich people because they think they're evil. Because they're rich, they must be evil. And they want to take down the rest of us because they think they're smarter than us, they're wiser than us, and they are more moral than us. So therefore, they want to take away our control so that they can make decisions for us.
Very much so. Very much so. And Craig, just doing a little more research here. AOC says she ate a lot of meals over the holidays, during the holidays. That's why she's looking thick. Although the theory out there is that she's pregnant, and we'll talk about it. So.
Oh, rumor is she's pregnant. Well, I like I said, I'm going to lean on the idea that she's just becoming a fat cat politician.
Listen, I think you're it. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. Girl, baby, girl.
Yeah, it's it. Yep. She just turned 35, so the comments are like, she just filling out her thick body,
getting that middle-aged weight, putting that middle-aged weight on.
That's it.
Anyway. Let's talk about another person who's part of the quote unquote the left, the oligarchy, or criticizing the left. A former reporter named Taylor Lorenz. You may have heard of her. Well, let's just say she decided to come out and in support of and praising of Luigi Mangione, the guy who basically killed Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. And she tries to say, well, I wasn't really praising him. I wasn't really celebrating him. But, I mean, Mike, listen to this, and you tell me on the flip side, what does it sound like she's doing here?
Hilarious to see these millionaire media pundits on TV clutching their pearls about someone standing a murderer when this is the United States of America, as if we don't lionize criminals, as if we don't have, we don't stand murderers of all sorts, and we give them Netflix shows. There's a huge disconnect between the narratives and angles that sort of mainstream media pushes and what the American public feels. And you see that in moments like this. And I can tell you, I saw the biggest audience growth that I've ever seen, because people were like, oh, some journalist is actually speaking to the anger that we feel.
The women who got her outside court in New York.
So you're gonna see women especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems like this morally good man, which is hard to find.
Yeah, I just realized women will literally date an assassin before they swipe right on me. That's where we are. I'm sure you wouldn't like to be compared to a Trump supporter, but some of how people cannot understand why people have sympathies for Mangione strikes me as the same as a lot of media not understanding why people support Trump.
I totally agree.
It's because a lot of people are just really, really desperate.
They want somebody to take on the system. They want somebody to tear down these barbaric establishment institutions.
So there at the end, it was funny to me how they compared somebody who, let's see, lowered your taxes, secured the border, ended DEI, and ended men and women's sports to someone who shot and killed an innocent man. Shot him in the back, mind you. But that's the comparison that they use.
Yeah, supporting a murderer versus supporting Donald Trump, to them, same thing. Same thing. So,
Same.
Yeah, these are. Hold on, I've been trying to look up the right word to describe these people, and it keeps coming up with idiot. So,
well, you know, and here's the thing, Mike. She was given, so she went on Hannity, and I'll give her some credit for going on Sean Hannity. I mean, he's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but at least he challenged her and gave her an opportunity, multiple opportunities, to say, look, I'm not celebrating this guy. Or I if it came across that way, I apologize. To really, really just say, look, I'm willing to condemn what this guy did. And instead, she decided, nope, not gonna do it.
Simple question. Do you condemn that? Can you take a moral stand and condemn that?
What I condemn is the violence of our system, and I would love for you to acknowledge that.
I'm not asking you to condemn the system. Taylor, do you condemn people that call for assassination?
Gosh, you're going to ask if I condemn Hamas next. This is crazy. I would love for you to acknowledge what I'm actually saying, Sean, and we seem to be talking past each other. I want to talk about the fact that half of all adults for delayed care because of cost. We need to talk about that 70% of Americans, by the way, believe that the insurance company practices are responsible in part for Thompson's death. These are signs of an unhealthy...
You want to put a rationalization. I am saying anybody that wants to assassinate any innocent person is wrong. I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican or a father or a husband, and I speak that is a simple truth that anyone with a heart would easily say on national TV that you're having a hard time with.
If you want to prevent further deaths and you don't want gun violence in the street, which I think we both are aligned in wanting, right? We want peace. We do not want violence in this country, no matter what side of the political aisle it's coming from. You need to understand motives, and you need to understand the ideology that people have. And that is what my job...
So once again, given the opportunity to say, look, no, I don't support the idea of murdering innocent people, but she just could not bring herself to do it. Once again, advocating for political violence.
She cheered for Mangione there, and so now she's unwilling to take it back. That's pretty clear. It's pretty clear where she stands. She does not want to discuss it. She wants to. Oh, well, we really should be talking about the price of tea in China. Blah blah. Okay, no. And Sean was like, no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this. So good for him. And bad for her. She's a. Hold on, let me find the word again.
There you go. Well, and what's funny is you can tell the producers were trying to push to go to a break, and he was not going to end that conversation. He was going to push her until she's and do the best, give her every opportunity to say no. And I'm like this, man. Look, I've said this. Look, I do not believe in political violence, right? I'm not saying that there is never a time for violence. I'm saying that there is a fundamental difference between when the time comes to engage in violence, that's when we're at war. But at this point, what we're talking about here is you don't like a policy that someone has, so you go and you shoot them in the back. And then you've got people advocating, saying, that's okay. I don't like the way you run your company, so therefore I get to shoot you in the back in cold blood.
Yeah, it's not how it works. This is not an oligarchy. Oh, wait. Did I say that, Craig? Oh.
You did. Well, what would happen if, let's say, people don't like the way Target runs their business? What would happen if, people don't like the fact that they have the little, the tuck suits, right? Or the promoting the LGBTQ. What if someone gunned down the head of Target because of that? Would that be okay?
I like how you said tuck suits, like you got a letter in the mail telling you the right way to say it from Target.
Well, I didn't want to get in trouble for talking about extra meat.
There you go. It's a meat storage device is what it is.
Meat storage.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Of course, if you do that, if you start saying I want to call for violence against somebody because I don't agree with their policies, you'd be Democrat.
All right, now here's the other question. So if it wouldn't be okay to assassinate the head of Target for that, there's big protests right now because people are boycotting Target because they've ended their DEI program. So what if someone decided to do the exact same thing, murder the head of Target because they ended their DEI program? Would that be okay in the eyes of Democrats? Apparently, according to Taylor Lorenz, it's acceptable.
Yes. No, that's just, again, this I'm going to say woman. I do not know if she is a menstruating person or not, because that's evidently how it's defined this week. People that menstruate, she's clearly an idiot. I mean, I really don't know whether any other way to say she's a hypocrite, she's a liberal, she's an idiot, is what she is.
Well, and because if you listen to that last little piece when she was talking with Sean Hannity, she was like, "Well, you have to study their motivations." So, in other words, if you're looking at advancing liberal causes, then it's okay to kill people. If political violence is okay. Now, if you're looking at advancing conservative causes, well, then you're a murderer.
Yeah, that's hypocrites. Idiots. More. You don't have less on, you have more on, right?
More on. That's right. More on. All right, moving right along. Texas has actually voted to pass one of the largest school choice programs in the country. This coming in here from KXAN out of Texas's reactions after House passes Education Savings Account program. It says there, shortly after 2 a.m. Thursday, the Texas House voted to approve its version of Senate Bill 2, otherwise known as the Education Savings Account Program. SB 2 allows families to use taxpayer dollars to pay for private school tuition. Texas Governor Abbott. It says here, for the first time in Texas history, our state has passed universal school choice bill out of both chambers in the Texas legislature. This is an extraordinary victory for the thousands of parents who have advocated for more choices when it comes to the education of their children. Texas could not have accomplished this without the hard work and unwavering support from Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Speaker Dustin Burrows, Chairman Brandon Creighton, and Chairman Brad Buckley. I applaud the legislators who took a stand with the overwhelming majority of Texans who support school choice. When it reaches my desk, I will swiftly sign this bill into law, creating the largest day one school choice program in the nation, and put Texas on a pathway to becoming the best state in America in educating our kids. Now, what's neat about this, Mike, is that if you look at this, so the second and the third largest states by population, you can please correct me if I'm wrong, but you got Florida and now you have Texas, both have significant school choice bills, which doesn't eliminate traditional public schools, but gives parents options as to where they can send their kids. They're not forced to send them to the government-run schools.
Yeah, Florida calls it the voucher program they use down here, and it ends up working out pretty well. As long as you can get your child there, to that school, then they're allowed to go to the school of your choice. It works. The big fear was, Craig, right? That, oh my goodness, all the inner city schools are going to be emptied out and they'll be going out into the suburbs. It just doesn't work that way. It's most of the time it ends up working for kids that are that are looking for directed education in specific subjects that are not allowed at schools. They don't have at certain schools, but that's what they want for his future. So they go there so they get that knowledge before they move on to college or the workforce. It seems to be working here. It has not been an issue in Florida since it became a thing.
Well, historically, what studies have proven is that whenever you have a school choice program, it actually improves the public schools in that community because they're now required. I mean, they've got to compete. And, generally what happens is those schools get better because they have to get better. Otherwise, they're going to shut down because people are going to wind up leaving. The other issue that we're dealing with here is, once again, is we've seen in many places in public instruction, we've seen the indoctrination, and I'll just call it religious indoctrination, because when we start talking about DEI, when we start talking about critical race theory, when we start talking about a lot of the transgender LGBTQ stuff, a lot of it is a religious perspective that kids are being indoctrinated with, and people are like, look, I want you to teach my kids to read, write, and do math. I want you to teach them science. I want you to teach them history from in this year this happened, not try and pontificate as to why or the motivations that people had, but to really just talk about what history is. And in many schools, they are not doing that. Now, what you find is that people who think, well, this is really just going to help rich people send their kids to private school. No, actually, what they found is people who live in well-to-do communities, in particular, well-to-do communities that tend to be conservative, they tend to find that they're happy with their schools. So they don't take their kids out of those schools. It's largely inner city communities with failing public schools. Those are the places you start to see more charter schools. Those are the places you start to see more voucher programs, or at least you see parents who want options, alternatives as to where they can send their children.
Yeah, very much so. I know. I listen. A lot of it here is, like I said, it's. Example, you got a school that doesn't have a junior ROTC program, but the kid knows they wants to go to the military, so they allow him to go to a different school. A kid that wants to go into aviation, and there's a school that has aviation. We have a lot of high schools out here that have medical programs, and if the school doesn't have one, and you want to go to one that does, this works for you. What if
you want to go to a school that specializes in construction trades, right? Imagine being able to become, by the time you're graduated from high school, a fully trained electrician or plumber or welder, to the degree where you can go on and become a journeyman within a couple of years of graduating from high school. How crazy would that? How cool would that be?
And it's true. I mean, listen, and that's as simple as schools now that don't have shop classes with the OJT experience, through partnerships. Some of them don't have it. Some of them are, just straight through. And like you said, you get perhaps some of the inner city schools that don't have the funding to have those programs right now. Right. So they don't lose students and have to close down. They have to compete and they have to come up with these programs. They have to be a better school. It drives them to be a better school, much, much more so than it did, the grading program. Oh, it's an A school. It's a B school based on scores, test scores.
Well, and they don't even now want to do it on test scores because they want to eliminate all the tests because they don't want to be held accountable for their failures often.
Listen, I bring up the test scores because, listen, maybe the test scores are bad because you got nothing the kids want to do. You got crap at your school. There are no specialty programs here. But if you have specialty programs there and you have people that have interest in specialty programs, they're probably going to test a little better.
Probably so. Can't deny that at all. Interesting thing going on. It's funny what happens when you go after and you cut off the funding source for terrorist organizations, right? When you actually, don't give Iran money, or you don't allow them access to money, or don't allow them the ability to sell their oil. It's funny the response of what happens, because in this particular case, we have found out that Hamas, well, let's just say they broke. Cash-strapped Hamas can't pay fighters as Israeli offensive hits funding sources report. It says their Palestinian group Hamas does not have enough cash to pay its fighters, with resources drying up as a result of Israel renewing its offensive in the Gaza Strip last month and halting humanitarian aid deliveries. The Wall Street Journal reported Wednesday, citing Israeli, Arab, and Western officials. According to Arab intelligence officials, salaries to many Hamas government workers have stopped. And since last month, many senior operatives and political figures have only gotten about half of their usual salary. Rank and file Hamas operatives have been getting only about $200 to $300 a month. Once again, this just goes to show you what happens. And I just, by the way, also want to point this out. No one passed a bill, right? All they did was, no one spent any money to stop this. All they did was they just choked off the resources. All we did to a large degree was got out of Israel's way and said, you do what you got to do. It's amazing how Trump has been able to, or been successful in not just getting things done, but allowing other people to get things done simply by getting the U.S. out of their way.
You know, it's amazing, Craig, that Hamas can't pay for their own, their terrorists' salaries. When we stop sending pallets of cash to the region, before, when the previous administration was sending humanitarian aid and pallets of cash, they were getting paid. Now that the pallets of cash have stopped being sent, they're not getting paid anymore. It's so weird. So weird the way that works.
Well, and for those of you wondering, well, why is humanitarian aid an issue? Because they have found that something like that, a huge percentage of that aid was winding up in the hands of Hamas, and they were turning around and selling it and utilizing that to pay their fighters, to buy ammunition, to buy rockets. We were literally, the people who were providing humanitarian aid were literally funding the military there for Hamas, the military operations.
And let's be clear too, Craig. Like, here's your humanitarian aid. Here's a pallet of meals ready to eat, next to a pallet of cash. We were sending money straight, flat out, $100 bills, y'all, to them as well. That stopped.
Right. We were sending it to organizations that were humanitarian organizations, believing, I don't think we ever believed it, that they were going to turn around and then use that to aid the people there in Gaza. And
the theory was
I'm
that they would
shocked that they weren't.
We did this in Afghanistan as well. The theory was if we give them money, they'll use the money to invest in and start their own economy, to boost their own economy. And all they were doing it was to buy guns and pay terrorists. Yeah.
Oh, dude, when we sent them pipe so that they could build they could have a sewer system, they repurposed that pipe to use it for mortars and rockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, makes absolutely no sense why people would fall for stuff like this. But needless to say, they do. The left does. They do almost every single time. But it is what it is. All right, folks. Well, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. Now, this first one here, there's only music. So for those of you who are listening, only listening to the program, you're going to miss out. But it's the all-female crew. It's an image of them, and it's a tweet with music in the background. And Mr. Andrew Jones here is commenting that I'm just happy to know what a woman is again. That was hilarious.
Comment. It's a great comment. Yeah.
It is a phenomenal comment. So now they know what a woman is. Interesting. Now this next video here, I love this one because it just goes to show you that, anyone, regardless of their mental capacity, can actually be something here in these United States.
Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school just like their neighbors and come back to a real home, a supervised home, right in the neighborhood where they belong. Being retarded never stopped anyone from being a good neighbor.
That retarded person looks familiar.
That's my girl.
Alex the bartender.
It's the thick Alex the bartender that's showing up now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you'll love this next one. And this next video here is the reason why I love AI, because it makes battles like this happen. Now, this is a this is going to be hand-to-hand combat, video game style between Donald Trump and AOC.
Round 1. Fight. Perfect KO.
Bye-bye.
MAGA fighter. I love it.
MAGA fighter. I love that one. You saw they when they got to the cartoon, they took a few years off.
Well, it's a cartoon. I mean, you have.
It's a cartoon. But yeah, dude, I love AI. Stuff like that is the reason why I like it. But some stuff I'm like, okay, wait a minute, is that real or is that not real? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me. Yeah. I had somebody give us an AI program here in the past week, and there is just some stuff you're like, is that are those two really fighting? You're like, yeah, well, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we got one more quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yep, Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Now you can get yourself an AR barrel, any caliber you want, any length you want, any barrel you want. They got them. And if they don't got them, they can make them. New stuff coming right off the line. Things you never even heard of before. Calibers, military's trying out. They already got them. So get on over to hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you could take part in California's future today. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, whatever it is, law enforcement, security, get your group together, get your agency together, get on over to uscombatgear.com where you can get everything except the gun.
That's right, folks. Once again, please take a moment, visit our sponsors by following the links in the description to this program. All right, that's going to be it for today. We will be back tomorrow on Free for All Friday. Y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.